a bit of a funny rant and news item that I have to bring up right now, just because of like how ridiculous and preposterous it is. I feel like it needs addressing. But the Grammys, the Academy, as they are affectionately known, you would think that running the Grammys and just sort of, being the Grammys would hypothetically be one of the easiest things in the world. Like, you literally just have to line up, because there's not really like the same pressure when it comes to the Oscars to like maybe pay a little bit of lip service to some more artsy and obscure films. Obviously, the Oscars are not great, or the best when it comes to that, but like, they at least push in that direction a little bit. But when you're the Grammys, all you really have to do is line up the most popular artists of the year and just put them in front of people and be like, okay, vote on this. What is your favorite? Give that person an award. That's all you got to do. And beyond that, all you have to do is just sort of come up with and list out really obvious, plain as day categories around genres and prevailing trends in the music space. That's all you got to do. But the Grammys are somehow finding a way to continue fucking it up. BTS, one of the most beloved pop outfits on the music landscape today, they are apparently going to be boycotting the Grammys because of the announcement of a new category the Grammys have launched. Asian pop. Just Asian pop. Let's read what Leah has written here before we go at length on this topic. Earlier this year, the Recording Academy introduced 5 new categories for next year's Grammy ceremony, along with an expansion of eligibility for Best New Artist. Among them was an award for Best Asian Pop Music Performance, a category likely introduced in the wake of K-pop's ever-increasing prevalence in the U.S. The Recording Academy's description of the category reads as follows. This category recognizes artistic excellence in Asian pop music performances originating from or widely recognized within Asian markets, including but not limited to K-pop, J-pop, and C-pop, with meaningful use of one or more Asian languages. Awards are presented to the performing artists. BTS is K-pop's most popular export. They have decided to boycott the Grammy Awards this year, with each member posting the following message on their respective Instagram stories. We have decided not to enter the Grammys this year. I hope music itself can be heard and loved rather than being distinguished by region or language. Thank you to the Army and to everyone for always being with me. Wow. Grammy's fucking up the bag on this. Let's talk about the preposterousness of this and just how the hell did this get off the ground? How did the Grammys devise this and nobody on the inside was like, hey, you know what? This might not read in the way that we're intending, or it might not read in a good way. I mean, you could kind of see the bland, very surface level, kind of liberal style identity politics reasoning going on here in terms of like, we want some representation for everybody. So we're going to, sort of like list out all the categories and give everyone an opportunity to kind of compete in their own category in whatever sort of like, lane in terms of genre and heritage that they come from. And I'm sure also on some level, the Grammys are tired of maybe getting sent envelopes of anthrax from BTS fans who are maybe pissed off at them every year when they are not either nominated for or given a Grammy for something. So like I could kind of understand the desire and the pressure to try to find some release valve for how can we do something where BTS is maybe like guaranteed an award no matter what, even if they go into the main pop category and then actually don't end up winning, but they still at least get to walk away with some award. Okay, let's create a category where they're guaranteed to win. How are we going to limit that category or, put that category on display? They're Asian, right? Right. Yeah. Asian pop. But when you actually like, have two functioning brain cells and maybe like a functioning eye for optics and PR, the way that this actually reads is like, we need a lane to sort of like throw the Asians into so that they're on the side and away from all of the other pop. So let's just put it in the corner over here in its own distinct area and then leave it at that. And it's funny because like, how the hell did the Grammy see it any other way? Like they must be that sort of like stupidly naive that they were like, yeah, people are going to love this new Asian pop category. Oh my God. It just feels racist. It just feels fucking racist because look, here's the thing. Even though K-pop is a thing, as is J-pop, and the genres are used very handily by fans and critics alike as shorthand to kind of like, categorize the genre and also easily and more conveniently find artists who, are similar to their favorites in K-pop and so on and so forth. These bands and the companies that kind of turn them into the performance machines that they are didn't develop these groups being like, yeah, we need to come up with our own separate, distinct style of Asian pop. It's going to be in its own Asian pop world, completely, uninterrupted or untouched by the outside world. No, these groups and these labels that create them make them with the aspiration that they are going to be global successes and they are going to compete with all of the pop artists on the planet. They're not just making K-pop and they're not just making J-pop or whatever, even if it is categorized as that way, they're making pop. So regardless of if the artists making the pop are Asian or not, they should be considered for the pop category. And also on top of that, like when you push the logic of this view further, like why are we not making an Asian rock category, an Asian electronic music category? Why not go Asian for every genre of popular music? And then do a Grammy based upon that. Why not the J-Rock? This is insane. And you could push it even further because the logic and the way that they're sort of like laying this out is just so nutty and just so nonsensical. Literally, their Ari Rang album is mostly English. No, they quite literally engineer their music to appeal to Western audiences as well. And aesthetically, and as far as like the influences that go into the music of these major groups, a lot of those influences are Western influences. They're pulling from Black art forms. They're pulling from Western brands of pop music and electronic music. And, of course, like styles of music and influences that come from, their own country too. But, to say like, yeah, pop from Korea is so different, it needs its totally own separate categorization is just fucking nuts. What about all the Wasian and Blasian artists? Where are they to sit? Where are they going to go? Are they going to go in the Asian category? Are they going to go in the genres that are, supposed to be for the white artists without being overtly labeled as that according to the Grammys, or the Black artists? Because, they used to run that urban category and we know what that was shorthand for. This is just some nutty shit, man. This is some nutty shit. And I wonder if the Grammys are going to do anything. Because with BTS just basically saying like, hey, listen, fuck you. We're boycotting and we're not going to participate in this bullshit. It really is like the worst possible outcome for the Grammys. It really is like, blowing up in their face optically, because they're sitting there like, but we set this table for you. You don't want to sit at the kiddie table in the corner away from all the other artists. And BTS is like, nah, we're good. We sell millions of records and, sell out stadiums and do massive performances and people love us. We don't need a Grammy. You could shove the Grammy up your ass. We don't want the Asian Grammy. That's disgusting. Canadian pop. Yeah, where's the Canadian pop category? We need some Canadian. representation. The Oscars have a very simple international film category. And look, given how much of an emphasis there is on Western film in the Oscars and, because it is a Western institution, it's an American institution, and a broad international category, as much as obviously you're not going to be able to cover all bases with that, makes at least some sense, Doing, simply like an Asian category, it's see, again, it's like, it's the full context of everything. An Asian Grammy category is already a bad thing, but to do it in response to Asian artists, not to do it not even out of love or appreciation of Asian music or Asian any kind of musical art broadly, but to do it instead in response to Korean pop doing really well right now on the charts and wanting to sort of like, eat off of that popularity as the institution that the Grammys are. It just feels very cynical. It is cynical. It's very cynical. It's cynical, and it feels like them trying to also do a little bit of overt pandering, because they're like, well, we know that you're fans and maybe you are mad every year that you don't win in comparison with some of the other artists. So here's your own separate little category, just for you, just your own little world that you can be guaranteed a win in, even if that's the full intention, which is obviously like a little bit more palatable than just the outright racist read that you can make of this. That is just patronizing. That's insulting. Like, you don't think our group is good enough to compete with The Weeknd, who you never give a fucking Grammy to? You don't think our group is good enough to compete with, Beyonce or Taylor Swift or whatever? We have to be in our own separate world. We're making pop that we think, I'm sure their label thinks is as good and is as culturally valid and is as entertaining as, what the Beyoncés and the Ariana Grandes and, the Taylor Swifts are making. You can debate that. It's all preference and it's all perspective at the end of the day. I wouldn't feel like that's, personally the case, but I'm sure they feel that way. They're certainly pulling in numbers and engagement and have passionate fans that care about what they do, just like many other mainstream pop artists do. BTS deserves a seat at the pop table, just like any other international artist does, these days. It's give Taylor her own category as well. It would be good to have Taylor just in her own section. The award for Best Taylor Swift Album goes to Taylor Swift. But yeah, this is very, very, very interesting. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Grammys kind of like second guessed this move in the wake of this BTS boycott. But if it all ends up sort of like, continuing forward and they actually genuinely run with it, I just sort of wonder how weird and awkward and cringe it's going to be in terms of like who actually gets nominated instead. And I don't know, like what sort of like how it reflects upon that artist to kind of like accept the award. I wonder also with BTS boycotting, will there be other artists in sort of a domino effect sort of way who will also boycott and be like, no, fuck you. We don't want your Asian Grammy. We're just making pop. We just happen to be Asian while we're doing it. Is there anything other than bragging rights that earning a Grammy gets you? I mean, industry credibility. I feel like there are certain producers or industry outlets and platforms that might be more willing to work with you or platform you or, maybe do something that would lead to you getting paid. If you do happen to have won a Grammy, there's a lot of I think sort of industry credibility that is valuable, that isn't necessarily just kind of the bragging rights thing.